Exponent laws. Okay, let's go through the exponent law worksheet together. And then you can do the exercises. Lots and lots of exercises, right? You need lots and lots of practice. Got to get this down to a fine art. So, practicing, or let's lay out the laws. First rule is the product of powers. What happens when I multiply two powers together? And we call something like a cubed a power. So a cubed times a squared. Well, a cubed means a times a times a, right? 3 times. And a squared is a times a 2 times. And if we take this, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a's, which is a to the 5th. When multiplying powers of the same base, you add the exponents. Okay, I think I have to turn my pen on here. Pen. Add the exponents, but the base remains the same. Okay, we don't change the base, only the exponents change. So a to the m times a to the n is a to the m plus n, right? Add the exponents. M to the 4th times m to the 5th is m to the 4 plus 5, which is m to the power 9. Okay, quotient of powers. What happens when we divide? T to the 7th divided by t cubed. Okay, we can write that as t to the 7th over t cubed. T to the 7th would be 7 of these. T cubed is 3. Cross off. 1 for 1. 1 for 1. Now each of these actually becomes a 1, right? As do these here. All become 1s. So we get t, 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 4 t's, 1, 2, 3, 4, or t to the power 4. When dividing powers of the same base, you subtract the exponents, but the base remains the same. So a to the m divided by a to the n is a to the m minus n. This example would be t to the 12 minus 8, right? Leaving the base the same, which is t to the power 4. Power of a power. When I take a power, so like m to the 4th, and raise it to a power, I cube it. Cubing means multiply by itself 3 times. When we multiply product of a power, we add the bases. So it's m to the 4 plus 4 plus 4, which is the same as 4 times 3. There's 3 of these. 4 times 3 is 12. When raising a power to an exponent, we multiply the exponent, but the base remains the same. So a to the m times a to the n is a to the power of m times n, right? Little dot here meaning times. A to the 5th cubed is a to the 5 times 3, which is a to the 15th. Okay, let's move down a bit. Power of a product. Okay, so I have a product here. X times y is that product. If I cube it, I get x times y times x times y times x times y. Grouping these, we get x times x times x times y times y times y, or x cubed times y cubed. When raising a product to exponent, raise each power in the product to the exponent and then multiply the powers. So raise each power in the product. So this was a power of 1. So we get 1 times 3. We multiply the powers. This is a to the 1 and b to the 1. So this becomes a to the m, b to the m. Now, don't forget, this also applies to the number. So this is 2 to the power 4. p squared. P to the 2 times 4, right? Multiply the exponents. And q, that's just a q to the 1, so it becomes q to the 4. 2 to the 4th is 16. P squared to the 4th is 8. And q to the 4th. Power of a quotient. Okay, so what if I have a quotient? P over q cubed, right? And you can see what this is giving us. When raising a quotient to an exponent, raise the something to the exponent and raise, let's call it raise the numerator to the exponent and raise the denominator to the exponent. Numerator, denominator, and then divide the powers. So this becomes a to the m over b to the m. X cubed to the 5th. This becomes x to the 3 times 5 over 4 to the power of 5. Right, 4 to the 5th, the 4 to the 1 to the 5, which will be x to the 15th over, hang on, phone, and 4 to the 5th is 1024, right, 1024. Okay, let's finish this off. Zero exponent. Take a look. 2 to the 3 is 8, right? 2 cubed is 8. 2 squared is 4. You're dividing by 2, dividing by 2, and dividing by 2. So that must mean that 2 to the 0 then has to be 1 to keep this process going. If the exponent of a power is 0, then the value of the power is 1, as long as the base of the power is not 0. So we can't do 0 to the 0, right? But any other base. So anything to the exponent 0 is equal to 1. And sometimes what you'll see is you get a really complicated expression in parentheses with all kinds of stuff, but it's raised to the exponent 0, so just keep in mind that that's 1. Alright, so how do we do negative exponents then? If 2 squared is 4, you divide by 2. 2 to the 1 is 2, divide by 2 as we go down. Then as we go from 0 to negative 1, we're going to continue to divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, or just think of it as multiply by a half, going down here, times a half, times a half, times a half, half times a half is 1/4, times a half is 1 over 8. A base raised to a negative exponent is equal to the something of the base raised to the positive exponent, so let's call it the reciprocal. Reciprocal of the base. So if the base is 2, the reciprocal of the base is 1/2 raised to the positive exponent as long as the base is not 0. So a to the negative n is 1 over a to the n. 3, the 3 just has a power of 1 on it. Y squared, it's the x that has a negative 4, so it goes to the bottom and becomes x to the positive 4. And that takes us through this worksheet. Do the work, do the work, do the work.